No, you're not crazy. The world of B2B marketing is definitely getting more competitive. It's very likely that businesses are entering your market at crazy rates. There's more content being produced than ever before in history, thanks AI, and new marketing channels and go-to-market strategies emerging every other day, pretending to be the next big thing, while apparently the old ones are dead. Now, all of these things are enough to overwhelm pretty much anyone. So in this video, I'm going to break down simply the 11 best B2B marketing strategies and tactics that I think you should focus on to not only keep your company growing, but also keep your sanity. Stay strong. Let's get into the video. Now, this first strategy isn't something that's come around with AI. It's definitely something that's been confused in the time of AI, and that is crystal clear positioning. Probably one of the biggest issues in marketing right now can be summed up in this image. Pretty much saying that B2B marketing is stuck in an echo chamber. And while 71% of B2B marketers think their messaging is unique, 68% of buyers say all brands sound the same. So someone's wrong and the buyer is never wrong, I think is the saying. And all we had to do is a quick Google search, and I was doing some research the other day around some B2B influencer marketing, and 3 companies showed up. The first one was the #1 influencer agency. The second one was the #1 influencer agency, and the third one was the #1 influencer tool. And now I think #1 is very much a shortcut for haven't had time yet to think about positioning. And if you're running performance media especially, positioning yourself is going to be key to help people really tap into shortcuts mentally to work out what it is you do, who you do it for, and why you're better for them, and the use cases you can help them solve than competitors. And I want to quickly go into a few more examples. All we have to do is go and look at one of the biggest websites in the world's H1 to show the state of marketing, and you got grow faster, work smarter, and that's from Salesforce. That could literally mean anything. That could be recruitment software. That could be absolutely anything. And because they're Salesforce, everyone already knows what they are. So they already benefit from the salience in their brand and associated with the CRM. So for them, it's absolutely fine. But with smaller brands who look to emulate this, they go and use this type of wording and these themes and kind of try and recreate the playbooks. And it's so ambiguous that when someone hits your site and you have a small amount of their attention, you're not going to be able to convert them into users or even get that touch point which sticks with them to know that you are the brand they're actually after. So how can you go away and actively implement this if you're thinking, my website wording isn't clear enough? And I think that's the first thing, is you want to move as far away from abstract as possible. So things like supercharging your customer delight, that doesn't really make much sense. It's so abstract that it could mean a lot of things. Whereas if you go here and look at this website, which is Freshworks, uncomplicate your IT and customer service. Uncomplicate is the pain point. You then have a clear use case, your IT and customer service. That's the use case that someone's using it for. We, Freshworks, use enterprise grade, AI assisted software to deliver exceptional services. So that's capabilities and benefits they've listed there. They then have social proof, and then they have tangible numbers with how many businesses they work with. So what you really want to do is go and make it as tangible as possible and ultimately falsifiable, whether it's a case study repositioned as your H1, or whether it's using actual numbers or figures that you've helped businesses with, how much percentages have you helped them increase productivity, reduce waste, whatever it may be, which directly aligns to your product and your feature. And if you're not sure whether your company website and your positioning isn't strong enough, go and copy and paste your header into ChatGPT and ask them what you do, because if the most powerful machine learning that's ever been created can't work out what you do, probably a mere mortal in a couple of seconds isn't going to be able to work out what you do. I recently, and I'll link to this below, did a video where I went through and created a whole B2B marketing strategy, which really showed how you can create your differentiation and positioning and actually get something unique and be able to then compete at the level that you're playing and not go against head to head with the big guys, but actually pull something out which is very, very specific and tangible. So if you want to go watch that video at the end, I'll post that below as well, which will be super helpful. But I want to move on to the second strategy. And the second strategy is marketing before the sales cycle. There was a big bit of research done by Dream Data recently, which looked at thousands of companies, B2B companies' data, and they had 23,000 sessions and over 220,000 company journeys analyzed. And what they found is the average B2B journey from that data, from first touch to last trackable touch, was around 211 days. So it probably was even longer when you take into account all the other touch points they probably had, which weren't able to be tracked online. And ultimately 70% of who they're going to buy from, all that information is marketed to them before the actual point of engaging a sales rep in itself. So if you actually start just trying to get in front of these people at the point in time they're ready to buy, just by using Google ads, a lot of the time you're going to miss out on a lot of in-market companies, which could be a best fit for you guys if you did start actually marketing them, 1 or 2 sales cycles before they're actually ready to buy. And all in this data, they found out of LinkedIn, Google, and Meta, that LinkedIn had the highest return on ad spend across those B2B advertising platforms there measured. And the only job here in marketing on LinkedIn is creating something called salience. Easier said than done. You can be as clever as you want, but ultimately you want to get as much exposure as you possibly can to your target audience market, making sure that you associate your brand with one of their category entry points. So for us, for example, if someone's having problems with LinkedIn ads internally, Google ads internally for B2B companies, or they go into a boardroom and told their results aren't good enough, we want to position ourselves as the people they come to mind when they have those problems. We don't want people to be like, oh, what are the best B2B marketing agencies? That's brand awareness. We want to create the salience. So everything we do, these videos, all the ads we run, make sure people know what we do and we have the credibility behind the scenes and the trust. And we build that over the case of the 211 days of the touch points. And then hopefully that number's like just a bit of a fugazi. It kind of illustrates the point that it's not an immediate buy now decision like a direct response B2C or low ticket item would be. The next strategy is leveraging something called the fresh start effect. Now the above one, like we said, we're nurturing these prospects and we're marketing to them on a consistent basis and trying to create that salience and getting as much reach and audience penetration as we possibly can through the likes of LinkedIn ads. So what we want to do now is say that we've marketed them for a while. When can we actually start showing them direct response ads and trying to get the short of it, as it were? When can we try and start harvesting some of that brand demand that we've created over the past year or two, for example? And what we can do is look and tap into something called the fresh start effect. Now the fresh start effect can be described in this paper that I found as a temporal landmark which disrupts the focus on day-to-day minutiae, promoting a higher level top-down mode of thinking guided by pre-existing goals and knowledge structures, aka big picture thinking. So in some moments, people stop getting bogged down in the day-to-day and just trying to get through and just kind of having that narrow focus to being like, okay, I'm going to now look at the bigger picture. I'm open to take some risks, and bringing on B2B providers and winning clients, bringing them on board is a big risk because you have to integrate them into a company and it's on you if it fails. So you have to kind of look to do these and do direct response at a time which actually works. So there can be different signals. Some of the big ones is someone's just started a new job, wants to create an impact. Their company's growing at a certain rate. They've just moved offices. It's like the new year, new me equivalent of not eating chocolate bars, but actually going out and choosing, potentially working with a new company. And so what we see is that a lot of our companies will find that the person has been working at a new job for 3 to 6 months before they get in contact, because they want to make a change whilst they're still new and have that energy internally to make that impact and change. Number 4 is around looking and leveraging vibe coding software. Don't know if I really like that term, but I think what I mean here is the barrier to entry has never been lower to create software. And if you can go out and have a really tight audience that you go after and you understand some of the pains which you can fulfill by creating some tools for them. We, for example, know some holes in the LinkedIn ads platform, which we use a lot for our clients. So we created Vibe created over the weekend a little Chrome extension, which turned into a SaaS, which allowed us to do a very specific activity. We then put that up on LinkedIn, had a lot of people interested in it. We then got a developer to build it, which I'd actually recommend. Don't just launch it from your Vibe coding. So you want to make sure it's all secure and get someone properly to do it. You can just validate the idea by doing that, put it out there, really good to get more amplification and more penetration into your audience. And we amplified this for about 2 weeks. And we ended up giving this script, which the software is built on, away to a company or a marketing director who asked for it. And then a few months later, we actually got invited for an RFP and ended up winning. And this was a public sector client spending hundreds of thousands of pounds a month on paid media. So it was a perfect fit, and it was a really good way that we found to scale it up and really start those conversations and act as another great marketing touch point for you to stand out. And going back to the positioning, it's a really good way of differentiating yourselves and showing that you're subject matter experts in what you do. Number 5, going back to some OG marketing here. I think in a world that's AI and online, doing something like direct mail, which is number 5 in this list, is a really, really smart idea. I was watching this thing the other day with Rory Sutherland and Andrew from System 1, and they were doing this interview and looking at the data and saying that it's really one of the only super touch points. You're going to have paid search, organic search, billboards, everything else, which are kind of seen as touch points, whereas having direct mail is what we see is a super touch point, which is when not only does it have lasting brand impact, it also drives sales. And he was saying from some of the research they had, 90% of direct mail campaigns drove a sale within 6 months. Obviously that's B2C, so very different dynamic, but it just shows the power of the attention that it grabs. And if you can do it well, I think it could be a really, really nice impact. I also think you could leverage it with some of your inbound activity and the signals that we spoke about earlier, and I'll touch on that a little bit later as well. It's something I'm quite familiar with, because if you go back and look at my LinkedIn profile, all the way back to my first job when I was working at Ogilvy, one of the first campaigns I worked on in 2014 was an ABM, if you zoom in, ABM piece of direct mail which delivered over 2 million in pipeline for Atos, the company, and won a best use of direct mail at the B2B Marketing Awards. Yeah, and some internal agency awards as well. So yeah, direct mail, speaking to an award-winning direct mailer. What can I say? Get it in the post. Right, number 6, AI search. Now this is a hot topic and I'm going to try and keep it as condensed as possible because I could create 10 different videos on this, and our team are working very hard on this side of things at the moment. Ultimately, appearing in LLMs is now part of SEO, whether you like it or not. People call it geo, Leo, whatever they want to call it. But our clients' visibility across AI is something that's actually driving already a measurable and commercial impact. For example, a few weeks ago, we had a lead that came through from ChatGPT for one of our software clients, which was worth about 45K. So it's very real, the way in which people are searching. And it's different to Google because Google is very much about how you spoke about yourself, whereas AI is kind of like how others speak about you and the sentiment in the market. And it really rewards people that have that sort of trust outside of just how you sort of promote yourself and backlinks. 3 areas I really quickly want to touch on are offsite, on-site, and behavioral, be able to drive AI search. Now, the offsite stuff is something called entity stacking, where you ensure all your clients exist in the majority of structured data sources that AI uses, like Wikipedia, Crunchbase, G2, Trustpilot. Citations and mentions, securing placements across review sites, directories, PR syndications, Reddit, Quora, best of lists, so people can see these like reviews on your sites and third-party sites, looking at forums, it's like digital PR, like brand and unbranded mentions, just like it would be for SEO traditionally. Moving into this side of things as well. But also some of the clients we've been doing SEO for years that were doing really well are also now doing really well in LLM. So there's definitely a very similar correlation. It's just kind of world building now versus just looking to rank in Google. The on-page side is very much around optimizing web copy for entity consistency, e.g. the categories you're in, the product terms, the brand references, structuring all your content for readability for AI models, so like FAQs and the top tools and the formatting, ensuring that all your bots can crawl the site, so allowing the LLM to actually come and crawl, and then forcing indexing for fast retrieval if you want to get up and running quicker. And more around the behavioral side is more around the brand building, so how much search you have and how people talk about you, so you can do other things like paid social to drive that up. But I'm not going to get too much into that today. And you can track it in a few different ways, from like visibility score, sentiment analysis, and mentions and citations, and things like commercial attribution, which are the UTMs directly from the platform. That was a whistle-stop tour. Go through and watch that through at half speed. I don't want to get this video super long, but I hope that gave you a whistle-stop tour of how to use LLM optimization to actually even just bring it into the conversation for your company. Next, we have B2B influencer marketing. And this is something that a lot of companies are obviously starting to cotton onto. And it's something we do for ourselves. This is kind of on a small scale what we're doing here, because we want to have a very targeted selection of clients we want to go after. And this is sort of content they're interested in. But there's an interesting study that I saw here from LinkedIn this year that was around 94% of 3,000 B2B marketers surveyed globally say influencer marketing was one of their most effective direct sales channels. And 63% said they feel like their marketing was currently incomplete without it. And the majority just seems pretty happy that it's going to be driving a tangible impact. Now, there's many ways you can do this, whether it's someone internally, hiring someone externally, and actually, working with them on what content and how to plug into your product. Depends if you're enterprise focused or, product led in the whole strategy and approach. But one of the really cool ways of doing this would be working on the likes of LinkedIn thought leadership ads, where they, anyone who talks about your product or has case studies, or you have like channel partners and they write about you guys, you using your advertising budget to promote their profiles to give your company third-party credibility through paid amplification. Is a really, really nice approach. And I've done a whole video on thought leadership ads, which again, I'll link to at the end on the LinkedIn ads playlist, which I'm going to link to. Next one is around using inbound signals to prompt outbound. Very simple. You can use the likes of LinkedIn ads to see the companies that are very highly engaged. So how many paid impressions they had over the last 90, 60, 30 days, 7 days. And you can then see how engaged they are. LinkedIn can show you on the side very high all the way through to very low. You can then use this as well as any of the fresh data effect points and use it as a way to inform an outbound email sequence, whether you're reaching out on LinkedIn, however it may be, with an offer that you have, which you're looking to test. And we found most companies that come and speak to us that kind of found us through LinkedIn, they'd be at least a medium. So I'd go and create very high to medium engagement levels in the top right-hand corner. So medium to very high. And then you can look to whether you export them, use a webhook, put them into other platforms, email providers, or outreach, whatever your process is. It's a really, really good way and smart to look at it that way. 9, we have Google Ads. So Google Ads, I've done lots of videos on Google Ads, and you can go look at my paid search playlist or a lot of different ones. But what we like to see, there's a lot of saturated markets out there now, right? That the market share is not growing. So the only way you can win new customers is by taking it from your competitors. And you can use ABM lists and other things, but what we like to do, we don't necessarily say that bidding on your competitor's brand name is a good idea. But if you are looking to do like an ABM approach for people using your competitor brand, the actual person using it, a lot of them are going to go through their site to log in. So for example, you can go in here and type in, sometimes in HubSpot, you have monday.com and then Pipedrive. You can see here Pipedrive number one. I said number one wasn't great earlier, but you guys, the cheapest CRM. I think that really number one, but the cheapest CRM is a good qualifier there. And obviously people move from HubSpot because it gets really expensive really quickly once you go past the free package. Monday.com, the new CRM solution, I think Pipedrive have really nailed the pain point there. So a lot of people then who use HubSpot, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll log into HubSpot, click from that page, click in my browser if they can. People be like, oh, this one's cheaper. So they click on it. And then now you start to build up a big remarketing audience over time of people that are using HubSpot, physical users. And then you can start creating that, salience in your brand, being like, when it becomes too expensive or someone starts thinking, oh, finance director said HubSpot's getting expensive, or, your budget gets slashed, you can start thinking about Pipedrive potentially. So you market for that long term and those sales cycles down the road when the people come up with these buying decisions. But I think using Google Ads in conjunction with that is like a 1-2 punch. Very rarely will someone then click on Pipedrive and fill out a form because they typed in HubSpot. Maybe HubSpot alternatives they would as a qualifier, but not HubSpot. But this is very much a 1-2 punch, looking to ring fence that within paid social and then being able to market to these people over time. It's a very patient play, but I think it's one that compounds very nicely. Bing ads, I talk about this time and time again on my channel, loads of videos. Whenever we run Google ads and Bing ads have a much higher conversion rate. Yes, it's about 18% of desktop volume compared to Google, but it's cheaper traffic. You can hit your impression share targets to get repeatable conversion rates compared to Google, which can be really expensive. And the demographic of people that seem to use it is super, super high. So Bing ads, if you're not using it already and you're going after paid search, there's been plenty of use cases where we've turned off a lot of Google ads, just left a few competitive alternative campaigns in and high intent campaigns, and then move the rest to Bing and LinkedIn as like a complementary source instead. And then the final one is what we're doing here, which is YouTube marketing. I think video and YouTube in particular, companies are really sleeping on. I think watching a good amount of content builds trust and builds a moat around your business, which I think in other ways that you sort of build a moat through product and innovation is getting slightly harder. I do think the AI videos coming out stronger and stronger, so tying that into it as well is a sort of really smart idea. But I think getting long form content and like a pool of content around what you offer to be able to really get that credibility. And then you can take that YouTube content and you can republish up to 15 minutes of it on things like LinkedIn or Meta, for example, and you can target your target audience market that way. And you're not just then targeting static image ads. It's going to be longer form content, which is more native to the feed, which people are going to watch. Sometimes without even realizing they're probably seeing an ad because it's just informative. And then they start building those mental associations to you guys and the trust and everything else. And once they've kind of watched a good amount of your video, they're going to remember you, and it's going to take a lot less effort to then try and, bludgeon them with loads and loads of statics and shorter form videos to try and get into their mental psyche of remembering brands, whatever it's called. And using that on LinkedIn is a really good example. But obviously one of the key themes here is the likes of LinkedIn ads. And we've created a LinkedIn ad playlist, which has over, I think, around 25 videos now in it. And we're adding it every week into it. So you can go up here and you can go and watch that playlist with all of, literally everything you need to know about LinkedIn ads you can find there. But any questions, guys, feel free to leave it in the comments and go check out the playlist. But until next time, guys, see you very soon.